All right, let's give it the beans. So you have under $3,000 to spend on an old cruiser. Have you thought about a C50 Boulevard? This is an 08. It's a T model for touring, I guess. It's got the touring package on it. You've got the bags and the windscreen. It's really a nice little bike. You know, when you've got under $3,000 to spend and you're just kind of starting out, you want something dependable. You want something that's not going to get you into trouble. You want something that is easy to deal with, right around 600 pounds or less. Yeah, this is a pretty good answer. Now, you do have a dual piston disc brake in the front. You do have a drum brake in the back, but this is a 2008. So the Honda Shadow had a drum brake as well, and so that's a wash. When I first started riding, I had a 2004 Honda Shadow Aero. Put 12,000 miles on it the first year. Loved the bike. But there are a couple things about this that I think might be a little better. That is a 7-inch headlight. Much bigger than the 5-inch headlight that comes on the Honda Shadow. The gas tank, 4.1 gallons. My Honda Shadow had 3.9. The suspension travel is a 1/2 inch more on the front and a 1/2 inch more on the back. This is 5.5 versus the 5.1 on the Shadow, and 4.1 on the back versus the 3.5 on the Shadow and the Phantom. The horsepower is very close, but the 0 to 60 on this bike is 1 second faster than the Honda Shadow 750. That does matter if you're trying to merge onto the highway. So do you go with the Shadow or do you go with the Boulevard? They are very similar bikes, both in weight and in performance. Very, very, very close. There are some minor differences though. We're gonna take it on the highway, give it the beans. I'm gonna show you what some of those differences are. Let's go for a ride. This does come off as a much bigger bike than it actually is. When you look at it, you find it very hard to believe that it's just about 600 pounds wet, because it comes off as something that's bigger when you're sitting on it. It just feels bigger. And it definitely feels bigger than the Shadow. There you go. And you have a host of features. You have a fuel gauge. You have odometer, trip A, trip B, and a clock. So it is replete with many fine features. Now, first thing you're going to notice is, wow, it looks kind of big, but it's light. And it is light. I mean, it's under 600 pounds wet. All right, let's get this thing on the highway. See what it does. This one has a heel toe shifter, which, by the way, I love. I had one on my Goldwing. It was awesome. All right, we're going to give it the beans and see what these 45 horses have to say here. The brakes feel ample for the weight. You know, they don't feel like they're terrible. They feel pretty bitey. All right, let's give it the beans. All right, 5-speed shaft drive. You will probably be looking for that 6th gear, but don't bother, it does not exist. All right, I'm on the highway, I'm doing 70, there's no tachometer, but the motor is not screaming at me. You know, 65-inch wheelbase, that's perfect. That's a nice long wheelbase, traditional cruiser wheelbase, 65 inches. It's not the 70 inches of the Honda State Line, but you know what? It'll do in a pinch. So there are plenty of good straight line stability, even though it's a bit of a lighter bike at 600 pounds. You know, it's kind of flickable. You know, it carries the weight low. I mean, this thing feels very easy to maneuver. Feels very easy to mess with. Presses into the turns beautifully. I'm feeling some good mid-range torque from 5th gear, which is nice. So I know I've got a long way to go. You know, before I wind it out, I still have more to go. You know, there is a difference between this and the Honda Shadow. I had a Shadow. I had an 04 Shadow. I put 12,000 miles on it before I traded it up. I liked my Shadow. I will say though, this feels like it has more going on than the Shadow. Cornering, nice. You know what? The throttle feels good. It feels like it has more pep than than the Honda Shadow I had. The suspension is much more comfortable. It is. You can tell that half inch. I mean, this is a very comfortable ride. For a small bike, this is more comfortable than the Shadow. It is. It is. And the seat feels great. I mean, I could be on this for all day. All day. I could take a long trip on this and I wouldn't feel bad about it at all. There's a little vibration coming through the handlebars at 70. It's not annoying though. It's not over the top. Now I'm doing 75. The motor's not screaming at me. You know, I will say, if you were to do this as your first cruiser, I think you'd be impressed. You know, because it's a very comfortable ride. The tank's nice and wide. My knees are around it very well. My knees get good grip on the tank here. I'm feeling very planted and very good in this bike. This bike, you will meld with this bike very easily, very quickly. I mean, it's really a joy to ride, even for a little 800cc, you know. I mean, I've got a Honda Valkyrie waiting for me back at the dealership, and, you know, this is still fun. I'm still having fun on this. You know, it's the 800cc's, and I'm still having a good time. It's kind of cool. Engine braking is good. And even with the drum, the brakes are good. They're bitey. I like it. You know what? This would make an excellent cruiser for somebody. This would make an excellent starter cruiser for somebody. And under $3,000? I think this is at $2,900. I mean, that's amazing. A $2,900 motorcycle that looks really good, performs beautifully. It's easy on the eyes. Suzuki reliability. It's comfortable as heck, man. Seriously, especially with the, you know, the footboards and everything. This is an extremely comfortable bike. You know, I really did like my Shadow 750 when I owned it years and years and years ago. I liked it a lot. But no lie, I think I like this a little better. Because the suspension's softer. The suspension feels more like big bike suspension, like it's serious. The Shadow 750 feels like small bike suspension. Ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. You know, that kind of thing. This actually feels good. This feels like I'm chill. Like I could be on this literally all day long. Yeah, flying through the gears real nice. You know what? This is an excellent motorcycle. If you see one of these for under $3,000, pick them up, man. If you're a beginner biker, or you're just starting, or even if you're an older biker and you want something comfortable and it's something easy to boss around because it's light, this is it. This is your answer. It's got a nice low seat height. The 600 pounds, it carries the weight so low that it doesn't even register. My Suzuki GSX-8 feels heavier than this, and it's lighter on paper than this. So this is an amazing machine. I would not hesitate to buy one of these at all. At all. The handlebars are swept to back. You got hazard lights. You got passing switch over here. You know, the 7-inch headlight's nice. It'll light up the night at night, you know. I mean, for a starter cruiser, I don't know. This might be all you ever need. I mean, 800cc's, you got a wide front, wide rear tire. It's comfortable. It's all get out, man. Seriously, this seat. Like, if I had to be on this in this saddle all day, I'd be fine. I'd be absolutely fine. I cannot say that about my 2014 Valkyrie stock seat. I cannot say that. I had to add a seating pad to that, as hard as a rock. But this is incredibly comfortable. This bike brings a lot to the table. It really does, and you wouldn't think it. You know, you might think, oh, well, you know, it's just kind of one of those... It's one of those cheap Japanese looking, you know, cruiser type looking bikes. And you might not give it the time of day, but you know what? You'd be wrong. You'd be wrong about the C50. And look what they're giving you. You got the white walls. The chrome is gorgeous. I mean, this bike is absolutely beautiful. 800cc's, and look at it. White walls, classic looking. But you know what? The performance is there. And I like the 4.1 gallon tank. And I like the peppy motor at 800cc's, but it's peppy. You hit your low to mid-range hard, and it's there for you. It's actually there for you. It's faster a little bit than the Honda Shadow 750. In my opinion, looks a little better than the Honda Shadow 750. And it has a bigger headlight than the Honda Shadow 750. And the suspension travel is more comfortable than the Honda Shadow 750, and they're about the same price. Now I will say that Honda Shadow 750 gets better gas mileage. All the ratings I checked out on this bike come in around 45 to 48 miles per gallon. The Honda Shadow is sitting around 55. So the Shadow 750 does get better gas mileage, but this has better performance in my opinion. It's faster and the suspension is softer. Get a Boulevard, you won't be sorry. And that's my review of the 2008 Suzuki Boulevard C50t. Put Jesus on the front, pray before you go. TG MotoRider, signing off.